Hey, we're back. The two old guys' garage, Lou and Bob. It's been a while. The last video that I published was part 95, June 23rd. No, excuse me. Longer than that. Anyway, in that part 94, we had placed rubber O-rings between the two plates handling the top Heim end for the anti-roll bar. Proved to be successful, 95% or so, cutting down a lot of the clicky-clack noise. What we're doing at the moment is we're going to remove the rubber O-rings and we're going to replace them with nylon washers. Because the rubber O-ring, they're not that stiff and they can squeeze out. Lou has lost them.
Yeah. Where the hell did I put them goddamn things?
Anyway, I'm gonna pause this here. Oh yeah, hang on a second. Today's June 23rd, 2026. This will be part 95, segment 1. So hang on and we'll be back after a while. Hi. Back after a short pause. Lou bought these as close as he could get to the desired dimension, and he had to drill them out to make them custom fit. So, going to pause again here. We're going to see about getting these in. We'll be back after a while. Hey, back, same day. All right, the rubber O-rings have been removed from the vertical bars of the anti-roll bar on the top side and been replaced with a custom fit nylon washers, one on each side. And if I go here, no clicky clack, no movement whatsoever on this side and the other side. And this is where the nylon bushings are on either side of the Heim joint. So that takes care of that. While we were under here, we checked and noted this tab is where we had the previous design panhard bar that we took out. The angle of the dangle of the rear end is such that under a real heavy bounce, this top tab is tapping the crossmember frame. So it's not in use anymore. We're going to have to cut this off some way. We'll probably maybe take a die grinder and cut across here and take the top 2 inches off. So we'll see. All right, Lou, any comments?
No, that nylon's definitely did the trick.
Yeah.
Quieted it down compared to using the O-rings.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that another benefit is the nylon rings under constant pressure will actually tend to mold even better for a better fit.
Yeah, they'll work they'll work themselves in.
The rubber O-rings proved the concept. They worked good. We had probably almost no noise at all.
Yeah.
And we're at the point where Lou is using the Anglia as his daily driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, air conditioning works.
Yeah.
No overheating.
No, gets warm. She'll get up to 200.
Yeah, which is, not much above 180. And that's in ambient, it's been 90, 92 degrees.
Yeah,
so
95.
So we're okay. Okay, so I wanted to talk about some other things. Got a cheat sheet somewhere. No.
You lost your sheet?
Yeah, I need to, anyway. Here it is. Yeah, what I wanted to talk about is last Sunday was Father's Day, and Father's Day is an anniversary for Lou and I because we first met at the Father's Day car show at Northwood Church down the street, which is not far from where I moved to, actually. It's even closer. But anyway, we went that day to the thing and we met, and he had his 23T. Which is there. That's something I did for the wiring diagram using a CAD program. There's the T. It's pretty cool. And by the way, this is Lou's ticket to get into the Good Guys National at the racetrack up the street. And you can see that successive years, 19, 20, and 21, he actually was the first one to register. First one to register.
Yeah.
20, 21.
Yeah, I drove them people crazy at Good Guys in Pleasanton. At that time, their main office is there. And yeah.
So, a little bit of history. Lou came from Northern California, longtime hot rodder, and he moved here to Texas in 2011, bringing all of his machines and tools and so on, which was a chore in itself. And I think we also, we've got 94 videos published out there, including the expansion to push the back of this 3-car garage out and make more room. So one of the things is, which was interesting, is that I think I've mentioned before in the past, in fact I know I have, but Lou and I get involved with multiple projects to get things going. And one of the first projects that we worked on extensively was his mill. His mill is a Wells Index, which, like many mills, has very similarities and knockoffs of the famous Bridgeport mill. And by the way, if you're interested, on YouTube, there's a video that talks about the history of the Bridgeport, and it is really interesting. Anyway, when Lou was still in California, he had began the conversion to a CNC operated mill, which he had these gearboxes and drive motors done. You can see this is the one for the other axis. No, there's got to be one up here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the third axis. Anyway, when he got here with the mill, one of the first projects that we got involved working together was to finish up converting this to a CNC-driven mill. And one of the stopping items is that the worm gears that drive the table in the X and a Y version were not ball bearings, they were bronze, right?
Right.
Yeah, zero clearance with the way this is designed, but too much friction for the motors to drive. So what we did, one of the first things we did is we actually went, because a lot of this stuff is a knockoff of a Bridgeport, we bought a conversion kit for a Bridgeport mill to take those worm gears and convert them to ball bearing, or circulating ball bearings.
Gears, yeah.
Yeah. And we did, in fact, successfully modify, there were some minor differences, but we actually modified some minor machine work and stuff.
Yeah, right here, we had to change this block here for this shaft that goes this way.
Yeah.
We had to change it just a couple thousands. That's why we had to have this mill here, so we could just drop that down a skosh.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we had this slotted, right?
Yeah.
At a machine shop. And then I know we did some other drilling and stuff down inside. Anyway, that having been achieved, the next thing we did was to do the electronics part, do the drive. And Lou, I think you had already made this box.
Yeah, I already had the box already made.
Yeah, he had already built the box that does the conversion from the computer and the software to the G code. And this is another interesting part. This was one of my many laptops when I was working at Raytheon, nicknamed Big Bertha because it was bigger and heavier than anybody else's as I carried it around. Anyway, somewhat obsolete, but works good for this. I donated it to the cause. And then we actually got in and figured out how to get the drive motors and the steppers all running. And then we also got into G-code, and we made some G-code programs.
Bob, I got the side opened up. I want to show the inside of that. Can you do?
Oh yeah, that's all Lou's design and build. Talented guy for sure. Let me see. Then the actual ultimate was, and I lost the video of it, is when we were all through, we were able to take and turn everything on and put a G-code in that took a piece of metal, made a circle, and then cut the metal out in a rectangle.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually I did a video at the time, and unfortunately I don't have it anymore, of where we actually set it up, and the table went this way, that way, the top came down, went through, did all its motions. So that was pretty good. More recently, what Lou has done is he has gotten lazy in his old age. Instead of doing the vertical crank of the table up and down, he bought this again for Bridgeport and installed it. You want to show that working?
Yeah. Needs cranking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes up and down.
And then, of course, this allows you to put the handle on and do a manual crank. So yeah, that was one of many projects. We did that in 2018, the same year we met at the Father's Day show. And also did a lot of work. Lou collected for a while the Sun machines, which these are all, we restored them all, got them all working, including...
One of these days we need to do is fire this baby up and check the...
including a very difficult
this...
exhaust gas analyzer. Actually got all that working too. Got into electronics and got information on doing a calibration in it.
Yeah.
We had it actually working. So that's pretty good. Other projects. What other projects did we do? Oh, you had a massive welder. We did something on that. Yeah, that welder that you had, Lou, that was...
Yeah, I sold that. I had the Miller.
That big Miller?
Yeah, it was a Miller. Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, it was,
We did something with...
yeah, we had to get into the electronics for the high frequency.
Yeah. Yeah, so... And then, of course, there's our famous project, which is now the driving everyday driver car. So, I guess that's about it. Hope this isn't too boring. All you people out there, all our viewers. Thank you. Oh yeah, you know, Lou also, of course, built many hot rods. Was it when did you build the T 2016?
Yeah, about 2016.
Yeah, Lou came here from California in 2011, and then he spent about a year in 2016 building the T, which was nice. But then, like most California guys, he sold it off about a year before we started the Anglia. So it's been 5 years.
About a year, yeah.
Five years, 6 years going on.
Yeah, that's when I added on. Well, we drew the lines first, and then we didn't do nothing more, and then I added on to the back of the garage.
Ah.
And then once I had this built, then we started building the Anglia.
Anglia. Okay, so that's about it. I'm going to end this. Take care, everybody. We're still alive and kicking. Catch you all later. Bye-bye.